How you doing? I'm Randall. This is JJ at KravMagaTraining.com. In this one, we're going to go over the defense against a choke from behind when they're pulling backwards. And what I want to address specifically in this video is how to grip properly for the wrist lock, because when it comes to this particular defense, this is the part that students have the most trouble with, so that's why I want to isolate it. Okay, so first let me explain what we're talking about here. So JJ does the attack, he yanks me backwards. I pull up the hands as I'm stepping back, and then from this position I rotate, turn, and go into the wrist lock, and we follow with combatives here. Now, here's the first mistake I see is this. When people pluck, they tend to use a C grip like this and grab like this. Like most plucking defenses, don't worry about using your thumb so much. Focus on your fingertips, create more of a hook. Not only will this make this pluck a lot stronger, but when I turn and rotate, it's gonna make the wrist lock a lot easier. The biggest mistake people tend to make is this right here. I'll turn JJ this way. They tend to grab like this, which is okay. I would prefer you grip without the thumb and expose this part of the back of the hand, because later on we're going to be using this to grab and deliver a strong strike. Now, once you fix that problem, here's the most common mistake I see is that when students try to do the wrist lock, what they do is they grab the hand like this and they try to twist the hand with their hand. This isn't going to work on someone stronger than you. Your twisting motion of using just your strength of your wrist and your hands is not effective. So instead, focus on this. Think about this hand right here is going to pull in this direction, but what truly powers this technique is this palm right here. Now, in reality, you could just grab like this, but when I first teach people, and what I would suggest you practice initially, is actually keep your hand open like a palm strike, because it's going to force you to do it correctly, because you can't grab, you can't cheat. So from here, this hand is going to push like a palm strike, forward and down. So when I combine these two, this pulling motion with this pushing, that's where you get the most effect. I'm going to pull hard, I'm going to push, bam, and I'm going to do that full power. But when you practice on each other, you just do it slowly. On the end of that, my chin should be down, shoulders up to protect myself, and I use my advanced step to power that over. And then once I establish this lock, make sure you bring the pressure of the wrist down and out. Try to have their elbows extend as much as possible. The more JJ tucks his elbow in, the more pressure it takes off the wrist. So if I push out an angle away from his body and downward and straighten out his arms more, you see there's a lot more torque on his wrist. Also, I would prefer to position myself way over here anyways, because I do have to worry about his free hand. The more I'm in front of him like this at 12 o'clock, the more vulnerable I am to that. The more I'm over at this angle, not only do I put more pressure on his wrist, but I stay farther away from his technique. And from here I can use the round kick or the front kick or whatever is appropriate. So, once again, the biggest mistake is people want to grab and twist. This isn't strong enough, so don't think about grabbing and twisting. Think about this bottom hand is pulling, top hand is pushing, and then combine those two movements at the same time with the strong advanced step. Once you feel comfortable with that, you can go back to grabbing like this and doing the same thing. But when you initially do it, try with an open hand. You'll find it's going to be a lot more effective and easier to learn. And then once you master that, you're going to have a lot more success with this wrist lock. And finally, the last thing is I wouldn't put an overemphasis on the wrist lock. And what I mean by that is it's not always reliable. So for example, if I do the defense, do a good pluck, and I mess up the wrist lock, don't be screwing around with this. If you lose it, just go to your combatives, all right? Get in that habit, especially like every time I've ever done a Krav Maga test and we're so sweaty, this is what always happens. It slips off and you just have to follow up anyway. So make sure you get in that habit of following up strikes. And even if the wrist lock did work, and I bam, snap his wrist, I'm still gonna finish the fight. Just because he has an injured wrist doesn't mean the fight's over yet. So regardless of whether the wrist lock works or not, get in the habit of follow-up strikes. Biggest mistake I see a lot of people make is they do this technique, get another kick, and just stop and call it good. I don't think that's always reliable, so I would get in the habit of doing more follow-up combatives after you do the wrist lock. So anyways, those are the details on doing the wrist lock properly. Focus on these details, make sure you follow with more combatives afterwards, and if you do that, you're gonna have a lot more success with this particular aspect of the defense against choke from behind with a pull. Thanks guys, see you next time.